The story begins as we meet a boy named Light as he says goodbye to his family, with his goal to become an adventurer so that he can make their lives easier. He goes to a guild, where the receptionist confirms that he's registering for the first time, so she gives him the lowest rank F. She asks him if he has any gifts, so he reveals he has the power of unlimited gacha, but she doesn't understand what it is. He pulls out a mechanism that chooses a random card for him, revealing that he can bring to life any item that it lands on, but he gets a bent fork. He tries it again, and ends up with only trash items, so he mentions that it's not usually like this, but the girl thinks she made the right decision to give him the F rank. He asks her if there are any jobs he can accept right away, so she tells him they're posted on the board. She notices him having a hard time reading, and she mentions that it isn't unusual since humans have a low literacy, so she tells him about a few of the easy jobs. He spends the whole day finishing the jobs, but he's disappointed since the money he earned will only allow him to buy a room for the night, so he hopes to get food from his gacha. He runs into a group of beast folk who knock him down, and it seems humans are looked down on in this world, as the leader complains that he got his clothes dirty, so he takes all of Light's money. He tries to ask for it back, but they kick him away and leave him on the ground. An elf named Sasha tries to help him, but he gets scared when he realizes he got her dirty, so she hugs him and calms him down. She introduces him to her party, and we see that they're all extremely high level. One of them, named Garu, notes that they're called the Concord of Tribes, revealing that their goal is to form a party that has all 9 races, and they wish to create a world without discrimination, telling Light to join them since they need a human, and he happily accepts. After that, they go to the longest and toughest dungeon called the Abyss, and as a monster is about to hit Light, one of the party members named Drago cuts it in half with his sword. Sasha takes another one out with her arrow, and she tells Light to be careful, because he will die if he gets hit by anything, so he apologizes to her. The rest of the party start teasing her, saying that she's always taking care of Light, which makes her embarrassed, and she mentions that if something happens to him, it will make people think that they can't protect their own comrades. Drago tells him he doesn't need to worry about anything, because he likes the tea that Light makes, so he's already doing enough for the party, which makes him happy. As they keep moving forward, all the party members suddenly stop, which makes Light think they're resting for a while, so he goes to make tea, but Drago tells him he's being banished from the party. He doesn't understand what's going on, so they note that they're kicking him out because he's useless. They start insulting him, and he doesn't understand why they were being so nice to him before if they hated him, so they reveal that their superiors were interested in his gift, because they thought he could be a master, but he has no clue what they're saying. He's confused why anyone would be interested in the useless gift that he has, so they note that they made a mistake in overhyping his abilities, which is why their superiors have ordered them to take care of him. Sasha is annoyed at how stupid he is, but she's glad that he isn't a master, because she can't bear the thought of marrying an inferior race just to get their blood. Drago thinks that they have told him too much, but Garu notes that it doesn't matter, because he won't be alive for much longer. He slashes Light's face with his claws, so he tries to get away, and they enjoy hearing him cry for help. Sasha shoots his leg, while Garu continues beating him up, so he yells in pain even more, but they tell Garu to stop, because they already agreed to make Light's death seem like he was attacked by monsters, so they shouldn't give him other injuries that contradict their story. Light tries to drag himself away from them, and he ends up activating a teleportation trap, so Drago tells Garu to make sure he doesn't escape, but before he can get to Light, he disappears in front of their eyes. Light realizes he was teleported to another part of the dungeon, and even though he's glad he managed to survive, he knows he will be killed the moment he runs into any monster. He thinks life isn't fair, because he never did anything wrong to deserve what's happening to him, and he still can't believe he was betrayed by the people he believed were his friends, but instead of crying over it, he vows to eliminate all of them. A level 1000 monster appears behind him, and he can't believe his eyes, because it's the kind of thing people only hear about in stories, and he realizes he was teleported to the deepest part of the abyss. As the monster is about to attack him, he thinks about how he can't afford to die there, because he won't be able to get revenge. He knows he has nothing to fight with other than his unlimited gacha, and as he tries to use it, he's surprised when a magic circle appears underneath him. He ends up summoning a maid named Mei, who easily tears the monster to pieces, and after that, she heals his injuries. She apologizes for touching him without his permission, saying she couldn't bear to see such a handsome face being scarred, and he's confused when she keeps calling him master. After she asks him for his name, she notes that under the code of a maid's honor, she pledges her loyalty to him and will serve him until her last breath. Light is confused by who she is, so after getting his permission to introduce herself, she reveals that she's a level 9999 maid, who's a super ultra rare card that he pulled using his unlimited gacha. He thinks it's impossible for that to happen, because his gift is basically worthless, so there's no way someone as amazing as her came out of it. She asks him to let her use her appraisal skill to check his gift, and he thinks it's her gift that she can appraise things, but she mentions that it's just one of her innate skills. She scans his body, and is surprised to see that most of his abilities are hidden under a layer of concealment, so anyone that isn't on her level wouldn't be able to see how amazing he is. She mentions that the card he pulls depends on the mana density around him, and even though mana is everywhere, its density is pretty low on the surface, so there would normally be no chance for him to pull her. But mana is abundant in the depths of the dungeon, which makes it easier to pull rare cards. She admires his bravery to come down to the deepest part of the abyss just to tap into the full potential of his gift, but he stops her from praising him even more since it wasn't his intention. He starts to cry and tells her what happened, and he can't believe the things they said to him, because all he wanted was to support his family. She hugs him to calm him down, and she notes that with her powers at his disposal, getting revenge is a simple task, so she tells him to give her an order, but he doesn't want her to do anything. He mentions that he was the one who put his trust in them and got betrayed, so he needs to get stronger and get revenge with his own hands. He wonders if she thinks he's just being delusional, but she assures him that she will help him do anything he wants, which makes him happy. After 3 years, we see Light walking in a castle, surrounded by an army of maids that he summoned, and as he praises them for their work, they all start losing their minds. May asks for his permission to shut all of them up, but he knows they're just smitten by him, so he doesn't mind it. They go to the city, where one of the citizens tells him they're running short on food, so he assures them he will tell the administrator to take care of it. He asks May what the members of the quartet are up to, so she notes that they're all trying to complete the missions they were assigned. She mentions a girl named Yuki is scouting the upper part of the abyss to make a map, and he knows the forests around the abyss are filled with monsters, but he doesn't think they will be a threat for a genius tamer like Yuki. He asks May about another girl named Ellie, and May tells him that she's working on creating the magic for his grand plan, so he hopes that she won't be overwhelmed since they have a lot of things in motion. He also wonders what another girl named Nazuna is up to, so May tells him she's on her normal job, which is to patrol the castle. As they go back to the castle, they see a man named Jack waiting, but May gets annoyed and tells him to address Light properly, but he doesn't mind it, since he sees Jack like his older brother. They go to the training room, and before they begin fighting, Light mentions that he will attack with everything he's got. He rushes in and punches Jack in the stomach, which pushes him back, and he mentions that if it were anyone else that was hit by the punch, they wouldn't have survived. Meanwhile, Nazuna runs into some other maids, who ask her if she's on her patrol, and she mentions it's an important job given to her by Light, so they start praising her, which makes her happy. They ask her which area she will be patrolling next, but she hasn't decided, so they ask her to check out a spot for them, because they're prohibited from entering it. Nazuna goes to Light's bedroom, and as she knocks on it, she's surprised to see May coming out. She wonders what Nazuna is doing there, and she notes that she was just patrolling the area, but May tells her to go somewhere else because the bedroom is safe. She asks May what she was doing while Light is away training with Jack, so she mentions it's against her code as a maid to do nothing, even when her master isn't with her, so she was cleaning the room, but as Nazuna goes inside, she notices that the bed seems like someone just rolled around in it, so May notes that it's her unique bed-making style. Nazuna wants to know more about it, but May refuses to tell her anything, saying it's a trade secret, which impresses her, while May is glad that she isn't that bright. Nazuna gives May a message from the other maids, and as she starts reading them, May realizes they're all cursing her for not letting them into the bedroom. May tells Nazuna she doesn't need to worry about it, saying that as the head maid, she will talk to the others, and she gives Nazuna a few coins for doing her job, which makes her happy, and she tells May to ask her if she needs help with anything. Nazuna uses the money to buy snacks, and as she returns to the castle, she runs into Yuki. Nazuna wonders what she's doing there, because she's supposed to be scouting the forest around the abyss, but instead of saying anything, she keeps meowing like a cat, so Nazuna notes that she can't understand her like Light. She wonders if Yuki is asking her for help in cutting down the trees in the forest, but she notes that there will be nothing to scout if there are no trees. Nazuna asks her if she ran into a strong monster, and she mentions that even though Yuki was summoned before her, she's still stronger and looks older, so Yuki shouldn't hesitate to depend on her. Yuki ends up speaking since Nazuna has no clue what she's trying to say, and she notes that she already completed the map, so she came back to deliver it. Nazuna pats her back and calls her a weirdo, saying she should have just said that from the beginning, and after that, she goes back on her patrol. Nazuna goes to Light's throne, and she starts hugging it because she's sad that she hasn't seen him all day, but she ends up breaking a piece, so she puts it back and runs away. In the training room, Light and Jack decide to call it a day, and they go to the bathhouse, where Jack mentions that only a few people in the dungeon can match up to Light, which means there are even fewer such people on the surface, but it doesn't mean there's no one who can defeat him. Light knows that there are a lot of unknown things in the world, so he won't let his guard down, because he needs to see his revenge to the end. Meanwhile, Mei summons the 4 maids who complained about her through Nazuna, and she asks them if they know why they're in trouble, but they act like they have no idea what she's talking about, so Mei reminds them about the messages they sent for her. They apologize to her, and she tells them to explain themselves, so they note that they know how busy she is, so they were just trying to help her, but she tells them that the worst part was that instead of saying everything to her face, they used Nazuna to get their feelings across. She rejects all their demands, and as a punishment, she assigns them to clean the hallways leading to the throne room with their hands. They think it's impossible, but she tells them she will be going to the surface in the near future to complete a mission, so she hopes they will finish their jobs without causing any problems. We see Nazuna looking at a weapon in the city, hoping she can get her hands on it, but Ellie notices her and wonders if she's looking for candy. Nazuna asks her what she's doing there, because she's usually too busy to do anything, so she mentions that everything is going so smoothly that she had enough time to come back. She calls Nazuna a dimwit, which annoys her, so to prove that she isn't an idiot, she tells Ellie she knows all the math tables, but she can't even get the first one right. They start arguing with each other, so Ellie mentions that Light made her an important part of his grand plan, while Nazuna was just asked to patrol the castle. She notes that she even had tea with him to discuss their progress, and she plans to book them a private room the next time they meet. Nazuna gets jealous, saying she also wants to have tea with him, but Ellie is confused that that's the only part she's jealous about. She tells Ellie that since she's good at magic and bad at close combat fighting, she should ask for her help whenever she needs it. Meanwhile, the 4 maids are annoyed at why they got in trouble, because they think it isn't wrong to complain against Mei's management style, but they know they can do nothing about it. They really want the opportunity to clean Light's room, but they don't understand why Mei doesn't let them do it, even though she's always busy. They know Mei was Light's first summon, and it took 3 months for Yuki to be summoned as the second maid, which means Mei had 3 months alone with him. They start losing their mind thinking about how lucky she is, and they think that if they try hard enough, they might be able to turn their rage into a curse that will get rid of Mei, but she suddenly walks into the room. She tells them to explain what they were doing, but they have nothing to justify their actions, so they just tell her that they're all loyal to her. She reveals that in the 3 months she was with Light, he only studied books and practiced martial arts, so they had no time to do any of the things they're imagining, which puts them at ease. She mentions that she came there because she was feeling bad for being too harsh on them, but she realizes they haven't had enough, so she tells them to clean the throne room as well. As they start the cleaning, they realize they won't be able to finish it even if they work all night, and one of them breaks off the piece of the throne that Nazuna broke earlier. Meanwhile, as Nazuna gets ready to sleep, she's still disappointed that she didn't see Light, and she wishes he would give her the permission to go to the surface and beat up everyone. The next day, Light sees Nazuna and Ellie arguing, but Nazuna gets excited after seeing him and wonders if he came to see her. He starts petting Yuki, which makes the others jealous, but he notes that he can't help himself from treating her like a cat. A level 1000 hellhound appears in front of them, and it still scares Light a little, since it was the first monster he faced, so the rest of them get angry at it, and they think they should eliminate all the hellhounds, which scares the monster, but Light tells them to calm down. They wonder why he summoned them, so he mentions he got word from Mei, and it's time to put his plan into action. On the surface, we see Garou being praised by the beast folk, and as he notices a human, he knocks him to the ground and spits on his face. He goes to a bar, where he tells his followers to eat whatever they like, and they feel honored to sit with him, because he went from an orphan to being their future leader. He mentions it wasn't easy, saying they need to be able to find different ways to use the skill that every beast folk is born with, but they think his skill is a cut above them. He notes that it's all in the smell, because he uses his nose to find out which jobs are easy, and those are the only quests he accepts. They ask him about the Concord of Tribes, and even though he can't tell them anything about it, he remembers how easy it was, because all he had to do was eliminate a weak human. It bothered him that they never found Light's body, but he thinks Light would never be able to survive the dungeon, and even though he's interested in finding out more about what Master is, he knows that looking into it will only get him into trouble. Mei suddenly interrupts Garou and reveals that she's Light's maid, which surprises him. She notes that she's been searching for Light for quite some time, which makes him wonder if she knows something about what they did to him, so she reveals that Light is of noble descent, but Garou refuses to believe her. She mentions she can't tell him about the specifics, and even though he thinks she's lying, he knows that if there's an off chance she's telling the truth, he can get a lot of money from her. She notes that after looking for Light, she found out that he joined a party, but she also heard rumors that he died in the dungeon. Garu asks her what she needs from him, so she tells him to escort her to the place where Light passed away, and she shows him the money she's prepared to pay him, which shocks everyone. He thinks she's leading him into a trap, but he doesn't care, because even if she tries anything, he can take care of her easily. He agrees to help her, saying he's the future leader of the wolf tribe, so he will get his best men to escort her, and he notes that even if she didn't offer any money, he would have still helped her because Light was like a brother to him. As they go to the dungeon, Garu thinks about how he will make sure May reaches her goal, but he will ravish her body on top of Light's grave. As they reach their destination, Garu mentions that when they were attacked by monsters, Light ended up hitting a teleportation trap, so they never saw him again. He tells his men to cover the exit, and he thinks about how stupid humans are, because they believe whatever he says. She notes that she feels bad for Light, because if she had started serving him a little earlier, he wouldn't have had to suffer being kicked and shot with arrows. Garu is shocked to hear what she's saying, because the only people who know what really happened are the Concord members and a few elite executives, so he asks her who she is. He wonders if she was sent by another tribe to spy on him, which makes her annoyed, and she notes that her loyalty only belongs to Light. As she gets ready to attack him, Garu can't believe he's feeling fear from a human, and he thinks he's about to die, but Light suddenly arrives and tells her to stop. Garu can't believe what he's seeing, and Light mentions that he's come to get revenge for what happened 3 years ago, but Garu laughs, because he thinks a level 15 human has no chance against a level 150. He tells Light he made a mistake showing himself, because after he kills him and takes back his body, nothing will stop him from becoming the king of the beast folk. Light is surprised, because he thought Garu would have had questions about how he survived, or his relationship with May, but Garu doesn't care, because he thinks that 2 humans can't do anything against a pack of beast folk. 2 of them rush toward Light, but May cuts off their heads, so he thanks her and tells her to guard the exit. They all start to panic, so Garu calms them down, saying inferiors like humans can only beat them with cheap tricks, but Light tells him to start considering the fact that he might be the one who's inferior. Garu tells him to stop spouting nonsense, and he shows his level to Light so he can understand the difference between them, but he gets annoyed seeing the look in Light's eyes. He asks Garu to explain why an inferior human was able to eliminate 2 of the beast folk, so he notes that Light must have used a magic item. They all rush toward him, but he blows all of them away, and Garu refuses to believe Light is better than him, so he summons a level 500 monster. He tells Light to beg for his life just like he did 3 years ago, but he's disappointed and decides to let Garu hit him, saying he won't move an inch from his spot. The monster shoots a huge energy attack from its mouth, but they're all shocked to see that it didn't even scratch him. He summons a level 9000 monster of his own, which freezes Garu's monster with just its breath and shatters it into pieces. Light reveals that his level is 9999, which shocks Garu, but he thinks Light is an imposter, since he looks the same as he did 3 years ago, so he reveals he's wearing a bracelet of youth that stops him from aging, and the reason he wears it is to remind himself of the pain he suffered. Garu realizes there's nothing he can do, so he starts to beg, saying he was only following orders, and he never wanted to hurt him. Light tells him to reveal everything he knows about what Master is, but he doesn't know anything. He asks his followers the same question, and they try to act like they know everything, but May knows they're lying, so she tears them to shreds. Light asks Garu what he thinks will happen if he declares war on the surface, and he warns Garu against lying, because May has a skill that lets her see if someone is telling the truth. Garu gets so scared that he pees his pants, and he mentions that no matter how strong Light is, he won't be able to win on his own, but Light already knows he can't do everything by himself. He teleports them to his throne room, and Garu can't believe his eyes when he sees the army that Light has gathered. Light tells everyone to show their stats, and he once again asks Garu if he thinks they can win against the surface, but he's too shocked to say anything. He realizes that they were the ones who turned Light into a monster that can destroy the world in an instant, and he asks Light if he plans to become a god. He notes that the world is hiding the truth from him, saying he will either bless them or drown them in despair using his gift, so everything depends on the answer that he finds. We see Light going back to his village, and he finds that it was destroyed while he was away, but they never found the bodies of his brother or sister, so he holds on to the hope that they could still be alive. His knight Gold asks him if he's ready to go since he doesn't want to camp there, but the assassin Nemu thinks he's being insensitive, and they argue about their loyalty to Light, so he calms them down. He mentions that while they have the forces to take on the world, they shouldn't rush into a war, and thinks they should first find out more about the strength of the other nations. He also wants to find out what being a master means, because it's what led to his village being destroyed, but Gold warns him to keep his bloodlust in check while they're in town, because the people won't be able to stand his aura. We see Light wearing a mask, and we learn he's going by the name Dark while he's on the surface so that the Concord members don't recognize him. They fly to the city of Datas, where Light plans to level up as an adventurer first, but they decide to land and walk, so they don't draw too much attention, but Nemia thinks Gold already stands out too much. They come across a carriage being attacked by dwarves, but Gold is instantly noticed, so they quickly deal with them. The man Colonel and his son let them ride in their carriage, and they wonder if they're famous adventurers, so Light mentions they're just starting out and trying to rank up. Colonel thinks Datas is a good place for it, because it has a good dungeon that attracts a lot of people, and he reveals that he runs an inn there. Light and the others get off at the gate, and Nemia reminds Gold to keep a low profile. They head to the guild, but Nemia gets mad when Light is given the lowest rank F, so she demands for him to be made S rank, but the receptionist notes that there's nothing she can do about it, and Light apologizes for the outburst and accepts it. Nemia cries over making Light apologize, but he tells her it's fine, and they head over to Colonel's inn. Colonel tells him not to hesitate if they need anything, so Light asks to rent out the entire top floor for a month. He uses silencing and anti-surveillance magic on the floor, telling Nemia and Gold they can relax. Even though Nemia knows how strong Light is, she thinks there's still a risk for him coming to the surface, so she wonders why he doesn't just issue orders from the abyss, but everything starts to shake as he wonders if she's trying to get in the way of his revenge. Gold lightens the mood, praising Light for wanting to get revenge with his own hands, and Light apologizes for getting carried away, knowing that Nemia was just concerned for him, and she asks to renew her vow of loyalty. We see her kissing his foot in an act of submission, but Gold just wonders if she's a pervert. After that, they head to the dungeon, but notice there are no elves, so Light mentions the dispute between the dwarves and the elves over the ownership of the dungeon. There are 3 hooded people that cut the line, and Light can tell the leader is strong. The kids in front wonder if they should say something, but Light calls them out anyway. The leader can't believe a human is talking to him like that, so he prepares to teach Light a lesson, but his companion stops him, thinking they shouldn't make a scene, so they head to the back of the line, but they tell him it's not over. Everyone praises Light for speaking up, and the kids apologize for not saying anything, but he tells them it's fine. They wonder if Gold's armor is really made of gold, but Nemia reveals that it's just paint, since gold is too soft as a metal to be made into armor. The kids wonder if it's their first time in the dungeon, and Light wonders how they can tell, so they mention that the levels in the dungeon are larger than normal, so most people bring supplies to camp inside overnight. They eventually get into the dungeon, and they wonder what they'll find inside, since they've never been to a different dungeon before. Nemia detects no one else nearby, so Light uses his cards to let them fly, and find the next floor as soon as possible. Meanwhile, we see the elf Kaido from earlier, as he slaughters a group of orcs, still angry that he was disrespected by Light, revealing that he was the youngest person to be accepted into the White Knights, the strongest force of the Elven Kingdom, and he has the blood of a master. His companion Yanagi tries to calm him down, telling him they need to get to the 3rd floor, but he thinks he was looked down on because of his level, revealing that he's capped at 1500. He thinks he should be stronger since he has the blood of a master, so Yanagi promises to help him using his research, but Kaido plans to get rid of him after he has served his purpose. After defeating trolls on the 3rd floor, Light orders the others to collect the magic stones so that they have proof that they made it there. They start making their way out, but they see the kids from earlier fighting against goblins. The kids take them out, but Light suddenly appears, and they see that he stopped a snake from attacking their mage, so they thank him once again. Nemia senses an enemy approaching, and there's a pack of wolves that suddenly come out of the forest, so the kids start running, but the wolves just pass right by them, so they realize there was something else, and a giant Scythe mantis appears. The leader of the kids, named Elio, thinks they should retreat since they don't stand a chance, but Light mentions that his party will take care of it. The mantis charges at them, so Elio starts to panic, but Gold fights it head-on, and he manages to deflect its attacks. But he realizes that he can't scratch it, so Nemia calls him a loser, and Light summons a fire arrow, but the mantis stops it and sends it back. So Elio thinks it's hopeless, and he tells his sister Mia to use her spell to back them up, but she wonders why he isn't impressed, since Light used a combat class spell without incantation. The other kids think he needs help, but Gold tells them to watch and learn, and the mantis tries to attack him from behind. So he smashes his shield into its blade, causing it to shatter, and he mentions that a well-timed counter turns a shield into a weapon. He adds that the perfect time to strike is when the opponent is unprepared, and he slices off one of its legs, telling the kids that battles are all about creativity and skill, so they realize that he's the real deal. Light summons his fire arrows again, and the mantis deflects them, but he takes control of them, and they return to hit the mantis from behind. Mia is amazed that he can control 30 arrows at the same time, and he blows off the mantis's other arm, so it starts running away. He realizes that it's smarter than he thought, since it knows when to run away, but he uses his fire wall to block its path. Mia can't believe he used a tactical class spell without incantation, since even the elves struggle to pull it off, and Gold tells the mantis it can't escape. But it takes out its wings and starts flying away, so Nimue jumps after it and finishes it off. Its body crumbles and falls to the ground, but Gold tells her they can't sell its useful parts since she ruined them with her last attack. So she realizes that she's screwed up, but the kids think they're amazing since they defeated the mantis. Nimue apologizes for ruining its body, so Light tells her it's okay, and one of the boys celebrates as he finds a magic gem. Light notes that they can rank up by turning it in, and Elio asks him if his party is famous, thinking they must be S-rank adventurers. But Light reveals that they're F-rank noobs, and the kids can't believe it, since they just defeated a giant Scythe mantis. Mia summons a water ball, so Nimue and Light use it to wash their hands, and Light thanks her for using her mana to help them clean up. Elio mentions that they owe him for saving their lives, and he invites him to join them as they camp for the night, telling him Mia wants to talk to him about magic. As they eat dinner together, Mia notes that she can't cast voiceless spells, but Elio doesn't understand why she finds it impressive. So she reveals that there are 3 classes of spells in magic, and notes that combat spells are designed to hit a single target, while tactical spells have a wider area of effect. The 3rd class is called strategic spells, and they're powerful enough to affect the whole world, but it takes a whole group of mages to pull them off. Mia reveals that other races can cast advanced spells easily, but humans lack talent for magic, so she's amazed that Light was able to cast one without incantation. She starts praising him like a fangirl, so Elio tells her to calm down, and admits that he knows nothing about magic, but he can tell that Light is a good person. He notes that she's skilled enough to get a referral from the Duchy's Academy of Magecraft, and Light recognizes the Duchy, realizing they're from the nation that was created by all the races. But Elio reveals that they lost their parents in an epidemic, so she wasn't able to attend the academy, and they decided to form a party with their friends Gimra and Wordy to make ends meet. He mentions that his current goal is to earn enough money from exploring the dungeon so that he can send Mia to the academy, and his friends tell him they share the same goal. But she tells them not to do anything crazy since she enjoys spending time with them, and Light is confident they'll succeed because he knows how talented she is. Elio wonders why he decided to become an adventurer, so he notes that he lost his parents in a house fire, and Nimue notes that he has burns all over his body, so they're looking for a potion to heal him. Meanwhile, Kaido takes down a monster, and his companion Yannick praises him for doing a good job, but he explains that his legendary sword Grandius shouldn't be used to cut down inferior beings. Yannick tells him they need to collect samples for his research, which aims to surpass the growth limit for each race, but he notes that they need to gather humans for his experiment. Light's party returns to the guild, and the receptionist is happy to see the gems they brought home, while the other adventurers recognize them as the party that defeated a giant Scythe mantis. Light wants to exchange the gems, so the receptionist tells him it will take time and offers to give them a fine meal while they're waiting. After that, they walk around the town, and 2 adventurers approach them, asking them if they're the Black Motley, but Light doesn't know what they're talking about. So they reveal that everyone in the town calls them by that name, but Nimue doesn't trust the adventurers. So they introduce themselves as Suvelin and Gilbert, telling her they aren't there to cause trouble. They know that Light's party defeated the mantis and reached the 5th floor, so they tell him that people are rooting for him, since he can prove that humans can compete with other races. Their companions call them, so they bid Light farewell, but he hears the other races talking about him, thinking everything they heard about him is just a lie. We see Light's party flying around, as he notes that they should go down to the 5th floor, but they see the kids on the ground. So they decide to talk to them, and Mia gives Light a gift to thank him for saving them, telling him it's an ointment for burns. He thanks her for the gift, but he thinks he needs to give her something in return, so he gives her a bracelet, and she immediately wears it, telling him she'll treasure it forever. After that, Nimue asks Light why he gave Mia the SSR Wish bracelet, thinking it isn't the right thing to do, since she just gave him an ointment. But Gold thinks it's perfect for her, since it makes small miracles happen, and he praises Light for giving her something she needs, telling Nimue to be less materialistic. They reach the 5th floor, which is covered in snow, and Light tells his companions to hunt the Yetis they need, before teleporting away. He returns to the throne room, where the girls greet him, and May asks him if his operation is going well. So he tells her he's been enjoying his journey as an adventurer, and notes that he was able to meet good people. He asks Ellie about the revenge operation, so she tells him they're almost ready, and he praises her for doing a great job. He orders May to manage things in the abyss, and puts Yuki in charge of scouting the ancient forest, but Nazuna asks him what she should do. He knows that she's extremely clumsy, so he just tells her to keep everyone safe while he's away, since they don't know when a powerful enemy might show up. We see Sylveon and Gilbert on the 3rd floor, and they talk about the Black Motley, thinking Light must be a legendary knight or reincarnated hero, since he can cast tactical spells without incantation. Sylveon thinks they need him to prove that the other races are wrong about humans, but he notes that he needs to pee, telling Gilbert to be on the lookout while he's away. But when he returns, he realizes that Gilbert and his other companions were killed by Kaido, who mentions that he hates humans. Sylveon knows that he can't defeat Kaido, so he uses a smoke bomb to escape and starts running for his life. But he gets hit and crashes to the ground, and he realizes that Kaido was able to catch him since he's flying. Yannick knocks him out, but he asks Kaido why he killed the other humans, since they could have used them for the experiment. So he promises to be more careful next time, and Yannick notes that even the most worthless humans have value as test subjects, thinking the role is perfect for them since they're inferior beings. At the guild, Nimue tells the receptionist to raise Light's rank to S, since his achievements are unmatched. But the receptionist notes that she can't do it, and explains that they made a special exception for him by promoting him straight to rank D, but they can't raise it further since they have a system in place. Nimue is upset hearing this, and the receptionist tells her that he still lacks experience as an adventurer, but notes that they can raise his rank higher if he accomplishes something extraordinary. That evening, Light sees a quest about the adventurer killer, and Gold thinks he'll rank up if he completes it, but he notes that the suspect still hasn't been identified. They discuss how they can track down the killer, but they suddenly sense something approaching, so they prepare for battle. A portal appears above them, but they're surprised to see Mia, who looks beat up, and her bracelet breaks after her wish is granted. Light heals her using his magic, and he wants to know what happened to her, so he uses his hypnosis to look into her memories. We see the kids talking to a group of adventurers, who warn them about the adventurer killer, telling them he can cast multiple spells with different attributes. So Mia knows that they're no match for him, and as the adventurers prepare to leave, they tell the kids to leave the dungeon immediately. Elio decides to follow their advice, and the kids start heading back, but he realizes that they're exhausted, so they decide to rest for a while. But Kaido suddenly appears with Yannick, who asks the kids if they need help, and the kids think they can trust them since they've met before. They explain that they're trying to leave the dungeon, since they've heard about the adventurer killer, so Kaido realizes that everyone already knows about his crimes. He reveals that he's the adventurer killer, so the kids start to panic, and the boys tell Mia to escape while they buy time for her. They charge in, so Kaido attacks them with his sword, but Wordy refuses to go down, and he shouts at Mia to run for her life. Gimra gets back up and rushes forward with Wordy, but Kaido cuts them down, and Mia screams as they fall to the ground. Yannick tells Kaido that he could have used them for his experiments, but he mentions that he'll cut down the weaklings who try to fight back, and he tells Yannick he can use Mia as his test subject. But Kaido wants to have some fun with her first, so Yannick tells him to take his time, but reminds him not to kill her. She tells him to stay away from her, but he tells her there's no reason to be afraid, and notes that she should feel honored, since a future legendary hero is about to use her. But Elio gets back up, telling her to run away, and Yannick finds him interesting, so he tells Kaido to capture him alive. Elio is ready to do anything it takes to save her, thinking he's going to die anyway, and she realizes that he's planning to put everything on the line, so she cries and starts running away. Yannick tells Kaido to pursue her, but Elio tries to attack him, so Kaido pushes him back, but he refuses to go down without a fight. Yannick reminds Kaido not to kill him, but he notes that it's easier to kill humans than to capture them, and Elio recalls how Gold mentioned that battles are all about creativity and skill. He comes up with a plan to defeat Kaido, who continues to look down on him, but Elio throws his sword, which Kaido barely dodges, but Elio smashes him with his shield. Kaido can't believe he was knocked down, and Elio calls him a loser, so he becomes furious and summons a blade to impale Elio. He mentions he'll make Elio suffer for touching his face, but Yannick stops him and reminds him that he still needs to capture Mia, telling him they can't let the outsiders know that they're criminals. Mia reaches the woods, but Kaido's blades block her path, and she realizes that he was able to catch up to her. He reveals that he can use Grandius to create and control multiple blades, telling her it's a phantasmal class weapon from the Elven Queendom, and he mentions that humans are no match for him. But Mia refuses to give up, since the boys sacrificed their lives to protect her, and she summons ice swords to attack him, but he easily destroys them. She tries to escape, but he sends her crashing to the ground, and tells her to give up. He notes that she's about to get lucky with a legendary hero, but she tells him he's just a bully who targets the weak, which makes him upset. He recalls how the other elves looked down on him since there was nothing special about him, and they thought he was bullying weaklings just to feel better about himself. So he starts to lose it, and prepares to kill Mia, but she's determined to reach Light to tell him everything that happened, and her wish bracelet activates. Back in the present, Light learns about everything that happened, so he decides to stop Kaido. Yannick heals Elio, since he wants him to survive so that he can experiment on him, but Kaido reveals that Mia got away. Yannick can't believe Kaido lost her, so he explains that she suddenly disappeared, and thinks she used a teleportation item to escape. Yannick realizes they're in trouble, since everyone will find out that they're criminals, and he thinks the Elven Queendom will learn that Kaido stole their Grandius, so they'll send knights to look for him. Yannick knows that the captain of the White Knights is level 3000, while his men are in the 2000s, and they even have weapons that can match Grandius. So Kaido thinks he's screwed, but Yannick mentions that if they complete his research, Kaido can surpass his level limit and defeat the White Knights. They prepare to leave, but Light suddenly appears, and Kaido wonders how he was able to sneak up on him. Light realizes that Gimra and Wordy are dead, but Gold mentions that Elio is still alive, so Light uses his magic to heal him. He's determined to avenge them, since he knows that they're good people, and Yannick and Kaido try to convince him that they didn't harm the boys, but he reveals that he already knows everything thanks to Mia. He tells them not to worry since he still hasn't reported them to the guild, so Kaido starts laughing, thinking he can get away with everything if he kills Light. But he explains that he didn't tell the guild so that he can punish them himself, telling them he'll make them suffer before finishing them off. He tells Gold and Nemu to stay out of this, and he starts walking towards Kaido, who looks down on him since he's just a human. Kaido lunges at him, but Light easily blocks his attack, and asks him if that's all he can do. So he becomes angry and continues to swing his sword, but he can't get past Light's defenses, and Yannick can't believe that Kaido is struggling against a human. He swings with all his might, but Light parries his attack and punches him away, telling Kaido he needs to do better if he wants to survive. He uses Grandius's ability to summon elemental blades, and he launches all of them at Light, who runs around and jumps to avoid them. Kaido suddenly attacks him from behind, but Light still manages to block it, and Kaido thinks he's a warrior pretending to be a mage, since only warriors can keep up with him. But he explains that he really is a mage, and he summons ice swords to prove it, but Kaido is surprised that he can do it without incantation. He launches his blades to attack Light, but he destroys them with his ice swords, and Yannick is amazed that he countered the clones of Grandius with his spell, realizing his magic power is insane. Kaido attacks him from all sides, but he surrounds himself with his ice, and Kaido and Yannick wonder how he can do that, since they've never seen anyone use ice swords like a barrier. He continues to mock Kaido, who can't believe he's losing to a human, and he notes that Grandius is the strongest holy sword, since it was given to a master by the heavens. Everyone's surprised hearing this, and Light asks him how he knows about the masters, so Kaido reveals that he was born with the blood of a master. He claims that he's vastly superior to humans since he's part master, but Light isn't sure what he means. So he tells his companions that he has decided to take Kaido and Yannick to the Abyss, so that he can get answers from them. Nemu and Gold prepare to capture Yannick, who explains that he doesn't know how to fight, but his servants transform into chimeras. He reveals that he's been experimenting on human-monster hybrids, and Light recognizes one of them, realizing it's Suvelin. Yannick thinks combining different species is the key to surpassing their growth limits, but notes that he needs multiple humans to create his masterpiece, which is why he's been hunting with Kaido. Light orders Nemu and Gold to put the chimeras out of their misery, so they cut them down, but Yannick mentions that it isn't over, and his chimeras instantly regenerate. Nemu and Gold struggle to take them down, since their attacks are working, so Yannick tells them to give up, but they decide to get serious and unleash their powers. They attack the chimeras with their special skills, and Yannick thinks it isn't enough to kill them, but he realizes that they're no longer regenerating. So he starts to panic, but Nemu suddenly kicks him in the nuts, and he passes out from the pain. Light overwhelms Kaido with his ice swords, and asks him if he's too afraid to continue their fight, which makes him remember how Elio called him a loser. He's angry that humans are looking down on him, and he's determined to prove them wrong, so he unleashes Grandius's ultimate form. He uses it to attack Light, but he jumps away, and realizes that the Grandius is like a magic whip. He admits that it's flashy, but tells Kaido it isn't enough to defeat him, so he becomes furious, and notes that Light won't survive if it hits him. But he stops moving and tells Kaido to bring it on, so he unleashes his weapon's full power, and swings it with all his might. But his attack has no effect, and Light tells him to keep going, so he starts swinging wildly. But Light parries his attack and kicks him away, telling him he won't kill him yet, since he still has questions for him. Kaido begs for mercy, but Light tells him he's pathetic, and notes that he doesn't deserve to be called a hero, since true heroes never give up and fight against the odds. Light gives him one last chance to prove himself, and promises to spare Kaido if he manages to scratch him, but he panics and starts running away. So Light uses his solar ray to cripple him, and Kaido squirms in pain, while Light tells him that Mia was right about him, since he isn't a real hero. Light decides to bury Gimra and Wordy in the Abyss, since the area is infested with monsters, but Kaido and Yannick wonder what will happen to them, so Light tells them they're coming with him. He uses his teleportation spell to take everyone to the throne room and tells Kaito and Yannick they're in the deepest part of the abyss, but they wonder why he brought them there. So Nami reveals that he lives there, and they can't believe he's staying in the world's most dangerous dungeon, but she tells them to stop talking. The girls welcome Light and ask him about Kaito and Yannick, so he reveals that they're criminals who murdered people for their experiments. But he notes that he brought them there since they know something about the Masters, and the girls look forward to interrogating them. But he tells the girls not to kill them until he learns everything they know, and orders Nemu to help him bury Gimra and Wordy. They start begging for mercy again, but he reminds them that they made their victims suffer, telling them they don't deserve mercy because of the way they treated them. After that, Mia wakes up in a hotel, and Light tells her that his party ran into her while they were looking for the adventurer killer. She wonders what happened to the boys, so he reveals that they were able to save Elio, but Gimra and Wordy didn't make it. He notes that he couldn't bring their bodies back, but he gives her their hair, and she cries as she thanks him for everything he's done for her. The next day, Light returns to the guild, where the receptionist mentions that they're promoting him to C-class. He notes that he wasn't able to capture the adventurer killer, but she tells him it's okay, since he gave the guild information about Kaito and Yannick, and even saved 2 potential victims. That evening, Elio tells Light that he's leaving with Mia tomorrow, and he asks them about their plans, so they reveal that they will quit adventuring and return to their hometown. He tells them they can find other adventurers to join their party, but they explain that they don't want to form a new party without Gimra and Wordy, and Elio notes that he wants to take them back to their home. Mia mentions that she'll give up enrolling in the academy and study magic herself, telling Light she'll do anything it takes to become a proper mage. After the siblings leave, Light looks forward to seeing them again, and he thinks about taking them to Gimra and Wordy's graves when he can finally share the truth. He orders Nemu and Gold to hold down the fort, while he returns to the abyss, where Mei shows him the results of their investigation. Ellie reveals that she used her forbidden magic to read the criminals' minds, and notes that since Kaito was a descendant of a master, he had the ability to level up faster. Mei adds that there's a rumor that the world will end if the master is left unchecked, but Light wonders if it's true. Ellie notes that she learned about it through Kaito's conversation with the captain of the White Knights, so Light thinks they need to look into him. She shows him how Kaito and Yannick are doing, and he thinks it's time to get rid of them, so he uses a card which summons monsters that eat them alive. He asks Ellie for an update about the revenge plan, so she notes that they're ready to make their move against Sasha, telling him they can start by capturing the White Knights. Ellie reveals that their vice-captain is engaged to Sasha, so he'll be useful as a hostage, and Light tells her it's time to execute their plan. Meanwhile, we see Sasha with her fiancé Mikhail, who reveals that he's wiped out human villages before, and he notes that he enjoys seeing them beg for their lives. Sasha tells him how she also enjoyed it when she shot Light, and they think they're the perfect match since they're both evil, but Light looks forward to seeing her again, so that he can ruin her life. We see Sasha in a carriage, as she thinks about how handsome Mikhail is, and her mate is happy for her, since she's about to be married. But the carriage suddenly stops, and they see that a human slave dropped what he was carrying, as his boss hits him and tells him to clean up the mess. Sasha thinks humans are trash, since they can't even complete the most basic tasks, but she sees Light going into an alley. So she freaks out and runs after him, wondering if her eyes are playing tricks on her, since he's supposed to be dead. But he disappears, so she thinks she was just imagining things, but she sees a note on the wall, which mentions that he's waiting for her at the tower. She panics as she realizes that he's still alive, and she's worried that he'll ruin her life, since she only became a noble after everyone learned that she killed him. Ellie watches her from above, and she tells Light to leave everything to her, as she promises to punish Sasha for making him suffer. We see the White Knights in a garden, as 2 of their members, Nia and Kia, play a game where they throw knives at a slave. The knight Sharfit enjoys his time with a human girl named Saska, who pretends to have fun, but she can't relax since she can hear the boys screaming. Sharfit talks to their captain Hardy, telling him about what happened to Kaito, and he thinks it's a pain since they might need to clean up his mess. Another knight named Must explains that they should take responsibility for what Kaito did, since he used to be a member of the knighthood, but Sharfit notes that he'd rather spend time with Saska. The slave screams as he gets hit, so Sharfit tells Nia and Kia to stop ruining the mood, but they tell him to mind his own business, and call him a freak for flirting with a human girl. Must notes that humans are lowly creatures, so it's okay to keep them as pets, but they need to put them out of their misery since their lives are miserable. Everyone starts to argue, but Hardy tells them to be silent, and they immediately get intimidated. He tells everyone to behave, and orders Sharfit to put the slave out of his misery, so he blows his head off. He tells Saska to return to their room, while Hardy orders the others to dispose of the body, but he tells Sharfit to stop flirting with humans, since their blood might be polluted. So Sharfit assures him that it won't happen, since he would never make a half-breed, and he explains that he just enjoys toying with their hearts. Nia and Kia think he's disgusting, but he just ignores them and notes that he'll get rid of Sasuke soon, since he's starting to grow tired of her. He asks Hardy if he wants to finish her off, but he notes that he isn't interested, and mentions that the royal family will order them to fix Kaido's mess soon. That evening, Sasha wakes up as she hears a loud noise, and a giant tower appears in the woods, as Ellie notes that the stage has been set. Sasha sees it, and she remembers the note Light left for her, thinking he must be waiting for her there. We see a carriage filled with slaves, but the driver stops as he sees a monster, which starts walking towards him, so he panics and runs away. A bartender tells his customers that he's out of stock, since all the deliveries were cut off by the monsters that appeared in the woods. The customers think it's because of the giant tower, and they talk about how the Queendom's forces are investigating it, but they don't have enough people to do it. So they posted a quest for adventurers, offering to give them a huge reward for information on the tower, but they're afraid to go there since it's surrounded by monsters. We see Light's party with the other adventurers, as they realize that the tower is creating a buzz, but two elves invite Nemu to join them, since they find her attractive. They explain that she's lucky since they don't usually allow humans to join them, but she tells them to go away, because Light is the only master she needs. He asks them to leave her alone, but one of them tries to punch him, so he summons a thunder arrow to stop him, and everyone can't believe that he used magic without an incantation. He walks away with Nemu and Gold, as he notes that everything's going according to their plan, and he hopes that Yuki and the others are also doing their part. We see a group of elves in the woods, as they use a human girl as bait, so that they can escape in case a monster attacks them. But a monster suddenly appears, and it eats the elves before they can do anything, causing the girl to panic. But it suddenly walks away, and a group of punks appear, so she thinks she's about to be kidnapped, but they heal her with a potion. Their leader reports to Yuki, telling her they were able to rescue another human, and she's glad that everything's going according to plan. Ellie knows that she's controlling the monsters, and Yuki tells her that everything's going smoothly, but she's still worried that something might go wrong. She wonders if Light is trying to test them, and Yuki tells her not to concern herself, but she explains that they need to understand his intentions. Yuki notes that they just need to obey his orders without thinking, but Ellie asks her if she's happy with being his pet, which makes her upset, and they both prepare to fight, but Yuki's punks interrupt them as they report that they've reached the safe haven. We see that they gave the kids they rescued a place to stay, and the girl thanks them for saving her, but they just wish her all the best. That evening, Sasha thinks about going to the tower to kill Light, but she thinks she won't survive if she goes there alone, since there are level 1000 monsters in the forest. She knows that she can't ask for the White Knight's help, since her reputation will suffer if they find out that Light is still alive, so she has no choice but to head to the tower alone. The next day, the Elven officials hold a meeting, where the Chancellor suggests sending the White Knights to deal with the tower, and he asks for Hardy's opinion on the topic. So he explains that he's against the Chancellor's suggestion, since they don't have information on the tower, but the Chancellor already wants to send their nation's elite unit to solve the problem. The Queen agrees with Hardy, and orders the officials to raise the reward money, so that the people will keep trying. After the meeting, Hardy thanks the Queen for taking his side, and we learn that she's his mother. She tells him she'll never put him in harm's way, and he thinks the Chancellor is rushing to solve the problem, since he's making a move in his game of politics. Hardy notes that they can't trust him, because he's waiting for his chance to abolish the monarchy, but she thinks he isn't a threat as long as they're together. She notes that the tower is the real problem, since it could trigger a chain of events that might destroy their nation, and Hardy realizes that she's talking about the second coming of the Archfiend. She explains that the 8-Nation Alliance will destroy the Archfiend, but a human hero will be born, which will make the humans a threat to the elves. She thinks they should wipe the humans out, but Hardy notes that it will turn the world against them, so he suggests killing or trying to win the hero over instead. She notes that the hero could be a master, and Hardy asks her about the potential master that appeared recently, so she notes that he was eliminated since he turned out to be trash. The adventurers gather to apply for the tower's scouting quest, and as Light walks around with his party, he sees the elves from the other day, who look like they want to kill him. Sasha hears his voice, and thinks it sounds familiar, so she calls out to him and tells him to remove his mask. He thinks it still isn't the right time to make his move, so he explains that he's wearing his mask to hide the burns on his face, but she tells him she doesn't care and removes it herself. So Nemu becomes angry, but he tells her to calm down, and he shows Sasha his burn marks. She's disgusted by his face and tells him to hide it, so he puts his mask back on, as she tells him he's so ugly that he's better off dead. We learn that he used his mask to create an illusion, and he thanks Nemu and Gold for not jumping in, but they find it hard to stand our attitude. After that, Light's party runs in the woods, as the elves from the other day chase after them, and he tells them to stay away if they don't want to die. But they're determined to get back at him, so he picks up the pace and leaves them behind. He reaches the place where he's supposed to meet his allies, but he realizes that they aren't there yet, so he decides to wait for them. But the elves catch up to him, and he's surprised that he didn't lose them when he picked up the pace. They tell Light to beg for their lives if they don't want to die, but a girl named Mara suddenly appears behind them and tells them they'll pay for messing with her master. They scream as she eats them with her monster arms, mentioning that they taste horrible, but she notes that she's willing to eat any number of them if it's for Light. Gold and Nemu think she's scary, but she tells them not to be afraid of her, since she would never hurt her friends. A girl named Ice Heat appears with her group, and they apologize for being late, telling Light they're ready to serve him. He tells them to lead him to the tower, so Ice Heat tells a girl named Suzu to show them the way, but she doesn't talk. Her musket lock apologizes for her behavior, but Light tells her it's okay, since he knows that she's shy. Everyone follows her as they make their way to the tower, and Gold talks to Jack, who reveals that he joined them because he's loyal to Lightmeister. The girls become angry hearing this, and they all stare at him, so he tells them to calm down, since he just gave Light a nickname. He explains that there's no need to be so formal, since they're all part of the same crew, and he's ready to fight them if they don't agree with him. But Light tells everyone to calm down, and explains that he and Jack have an understanding, so there's no reason to be angry. But he realizes he couldn't fix the vibes, and he tells Ice Heat it's his first time seeing her with her gauntlets. She explains that she's still dressed as a maid since May has been teaching her the maid's code, and notes that it's been so long that she feels strange wearing her gauntlets. Mara tells her to take off the maid outfit, but she notes that she won't strip in front of Light, who's glad that he was able to lighten up the mood. He realizes that everyone's talking to each other again, but Locke tells Suzu to get her act together, since Mara will eat her if she doesn't pay respect to Light. He knows that Locke is the only one she talks to, since she isn't comfortable around other people, but he wonders if she's a girl, since she was listed as androgynous on her card. They reach the tower, where the girls welcome Light back, and Ellie tells him they should talk inside. She shows him around, as she explains that she hasn't activated anything yet, but the interior is furnished with her enchantments and advanced technology. He sees a dragon inside, and Ellie reveals that it's her pet, explaining that she summoned it to help them execute their plan. Light sits on his throne, while Ellie tells everyone about their revenge plan, and notes that the idea is to congratulate Sasha on her royal marriage by treating her to a cold dish of revenge. But she decided to add her unique touches to the plan, and explains that since the White Knights are the Queen's strongest warriors, they should have a series of battles against them to test the strength of their forces. After the White Knights are captured, the Elven Queendom will be crippled, and it will be easier for Light to gather all the information that they have regarding the Masters. Ellie creates a shadow, and notes that it will take Light's place while the operation is underway, so he can relax as he watches how things unfold. He praises her for coming up with a brilliant plan, and she notes that Yuki's beasts are now luring Sasha to the tower, where she'll be greeted by the dragon. Sasha sees a monster in the woods, and the two adventurers she hired tell her to avoid it, since they're no match for it. She sneaks past it, but she sees the dragon guarding the tower, and she knows that only the White Knights can defeat it, so she decides to go back and ask for their help. Ellie knows that Sasha will return with the White Knights, and she tells Light to enjoy the show, since his strongest warriors are about to fight them. That evening, Sasha tells the officials about the creatures she saw, and notes that they must be the reason why the other monsters were pushed outside of the forest. The Queen is surprised to learn that a dragon is guarding the tower, and the officials don't believe Sasha, but the Chancellor notes that they received a similar report from the Black Motley. He tells Hardy he needs to take action since they finally have the intel he was looking for, so he promises to lead the White Knights against the dragon and solve the mystery behind the tower. After that, Sasha begs the Chancellor to let her join the Knights as they head to the tower, and he tells her she'll get what she wants. But he explains that she needs to borrow something from her father's collection, since she'll just be a burden to the Knights at her current level, so she talks to her father before she leaves. The next day, Hardy tells the Knights to stick to the plan, so that they can reach the tower quickly, but Sharfit thinks Sasha will just get in their way. She explains that she can safely guide them to the tower, and Mikhail notes that she can handle herself since she's level 500, but he promises to protect her if something goes wrong. They start following her, and we see Ellie watching them, as she mentions that everything's going according to plan. Light's hand starts shaking, since he's excited to destroy Sasha's life, and he wonders what kind of face she'll make when she gets there. Sasha uses the marks she left on the trees to find the right path, and when the Knights finally reach the tower, they see monsters coming out of it. They see that there are 5 of them, but Hardy explains that they should avoid fighting until they find the dragon, and the adventurers they hired launch their diversion. So the monsters start looking for them, and Hardy tells the Knights that it's time to breach the tower, but he warns them to be careful, since there might be other monsters inside it. He uses his silence skill to remove the noise around them, and they run to the tower, while Ellie tells Light that he's about to have the perfect appetizer before the main course. Sharfit looks inside the tower, and he realizes that it's clear, so the knights rush forward. But they suddenly activate a trap, which teleports them away, and they end up being separated. Light waits for Mikhail and Sasha to climb up the stairs, so that they can reach the top floor, where he has a surprise waiting for them. They aren't sure if they're still in the tower, but Mikhail thinks they can find the exit when they reach the top, so they start climbing it. Meanwhile, Nia and Kia think they need to regroup with the others, but Ice Heat and Mara suddenly appear and prepare to take them on. Mara thinks they aren't strong enough to pose a threat, so Ice Heat tells her not to underestimate them, even though they're just second-rate elves. But they become upset hearing this, and they start jumping around, saying they aren't second-rate since they have the blood of a master. They use their wind cutter to attack, and Ice Heat and Mara easily avoid it, but Nia and Kia tell them they're only getting started. They spam their wind cutters as they jump around, so Mara wonders if it's the only move they know, but they tell her they can do it all day. They combine their powers to launch a barrage of wind cutters, and Ice Heat manages to dodge them, but as Mara jumps around, Kia suddenly cuts her arm off. Nia and Kia think she's done for, but she asks for Ice Heat's opinion about them, so she notes that they're weak as hell. They tell her they have the advantage, but Mara notes that they didn't cut her arm off, and she suddenly eats her other arm. Nia and Kia are shocked as her arm instantly regrows, but she tells them they still haven't seen the best part, and she pulls her head off. She explains that her body is a combination of different creatures, so she can juggle her head if she wants to, and she reveals she's over level 7000. Ice Heat notes that she's a frozen firestorm grappler, revealing that she's also over level 7000, but Nia and Kia think they're bluffing. They use their wind cutter again, but their attacks have no effect, and Ice Heat tells them it's time to wake up. They freak out and run away, and Mara finds them amusing, but Ice Heat thinks they're up to something, so she wants to take them out. Mara creates a shield to protect herself, and tells Ice Heat to go for it, so she covers her fist with her flames. Nia and Kia realize that the heat is getting intense, so they summon a giant ice wall to defend themselves, but the heat instantly melts it, and Ice Heat blasts them with her flames. Mara realizes they're still alive, because Ellie's magic saved them, but Ice Heat is upset since they were so easy to take down. So Mara tells her it's okay, because they now have an idea how powerful the elves are, and Nia and Kia beg for mercy. But she tells them their real suffering is about to begin, and reminds them that they never showed the humans mercy, so they're about to get what they deserve. She starts torturing them to extract information, and reveals that Light ordered her to make them suffer, so that they will regret everything they've done. An adventurer panics as he sees one of the monsters, but Light protects him, and Nimue prepares to kill it. But Gold gets in her way, and reminds her to stick to their script, since they're just putting on a show. They chase the monster away, and we see the real Light watching them, as Allie notes that they came up with the performance themselves. We see Sharfit as he meets Suzu, and he finds her cute, so he tries to flirt with her. But Locke tells him she doesn't talk to anyone, and notes that they'll wipe the floor with him, so he realizes that they want to fight him. He tells her they can have a good time instead of fighting, but Locke notes that he isn't her type, and he wonders what kind of man she wants. Locke reveals that she likes Light, but it tells her their ship will never sail, so she smacks him against a wall. Sharfit notes that he'll take her the hard way, and summons his invisible crossbow to attack, but she deflects his arrow and fires back. He destroys her bullet before it can hit him, but he's impressed by her moves, and Locke knows that he's a skilled fighter, since he was able to shoot down her bullet. He continues to attack her with his arrows, and she jumps away to avoid them, but they follow her and explode as they reach her. He realizes that she survived his attack, so he admits that he's impressed, and offers to show her the world if she forgets about Light. But Locke tells him he's in trouble, as she suddenly starts to lose it after hearing what he said, and she feels a strong urge to kill him. She fires countless bullets, and he struggles to dodge all of them as they start chasing him wherever he goes. He tries to shoot them down, but he ends up getting hit, and he realizes that his body is getting weaker because her bullets inflict status effects. He screams as the bullets hit him, and as he lies on the ground, Suzu stomps on his head and tells him to die, but Locke reminds her that she isn't supposed to kill him. So she stops and thinks about her actions, as Locke reminds her that Light ordered her to test Sharfit's power. But she realizes that it's too late, because he's already too broken to fight, so she starts to cry. Light watches her and realizes that the fight is over, but he asks Ellie about Sasha, since he's still waiting for her to reach the top floor. We see Sasha climbing the stairs with Mikhail, who can sense that something is waiting for them at the top, but all she can think about is killing Light. Must runs into Jack, who notes that he's over level 7000, but Must doesn't believe him, so Jack tells him to use his appraisal if he wants to find out, but he realizes that Must doesn't have that skill. He explains that he doesn't need it and charges in, but Jack parries his attack and tells him he's too slow. He starts attacking with his full strength, but Jack easily deflects his attacks and sends him flying with just a finger flick. Must still can't believe that he's over level 7000, and notes that he can't meet his end, since he needs to help the people in the Elven Queendom. But Jack knows that he kills humans, so he explains that he's just putting them out of their misery, since their lives are worth living. He uses his life force to power up his axe, and tells it to give him the strength to defeat Jack, who looks forward to seeing what he can do. Must attacks him with all his might, but Jack easily blocks it, and uses his iron-blooded barricade skill to transform his body, which makes his skin as hard as diamonds. Must screams as he starts swinging wildly, but Jack easily shatters his weapon and punches him away, but he realizes that Must is still alive thanks to Ellie's magic. Nazuna prepares to fight Hardy, and she knows that he's the strongest knight, so she wants to see what he can do. He can tell that she's a skilled fighter despite her appearance, but he wants to prove that he's the greatest, so he prepares to take her on. She swings her sword and tells him she's ready to fight, but he just observes her movements, wondering if she has superhuman strength. She realizes that he isn't doing anything, so she attacks him with her sword, but it cuts right through him and destroys the wall behind him. She asks him if he's okay, but realizes that he's already unconscious, and Ellie scolds her for destroying the wall, explaining that the tower is linked to her mana pool. She uses a huge portion of her mana to repair the wall, and tells Nazuna to control herself while she's fighting, but Hardy suddenly uses his magic to heal himself. He gets back up, and Nazuna wonders how he's still alive, so Ellie explains that her magic prevents the knights from dying in the tower. He notes that he wasn't fighting seriously, since he thought Nazuna was a joke, and he promises to fight her with everything he has. He activates his silent skill, and we learn that it drains the stats of his opponent while powering him up at the same time. He uses the power of silent to create a magical blade called Hermit, and he thinks Nazuna won't be able to defend against it, since it's hard to measure its range. He thinks she can't defeat him since all of his abilities are active, and he waits for her to make her move so that he can cut her down. But she instantly gets close to him and punches him, sending him crashing into the wall. She's happy that she didn't break it, but Ellie is angry since she still needs to use mana to repair the damage, and Light tells her not to be harsh on Nazuna since she was able to capture Hardy. So Ellie orders her to take Hardy away, and she tells Light she was trying to teach Nazuna how to control herself while fighting, but he asks her if she's okay since she spent a lot of mana repairing the wall. So she explains that the sudden drop in mana made her legs feel weak, but he realizes that Sasha is about to arrive, so he puts on his mask. Mikhail promises to keep Sasha safe, and he opens the door, which leads to the throne room. Light greets them, and they realize that he's the master of the tower, but he tells Sasha they haven't seen each other in a long time. She wonders how he knows her name, since she only met him once, so he removes his mask, and tells her it's been 3 years since they last met. She can't believe he's still alive, and asks him what happened to the burns on his face, so he reveals that they were just an illusion he created. He explains that he has stopped himself from aging, since he wants to keep the pain fresh in his mind, so Mikhail realizes that he's the master candidate she was supposed to have killed. He reveals that he got caught in a teleportation trap, and was sent to the bottom of the abyss, but he found a way to survive, since he wanted to get revenge and find out why he was targeted. He tells Sasha she's next on his revenge list, and reveals that he made the tower just to get back at her, but Mikhail suddenly laughs, and tells her she's incredibly lucky. He explains that Light is cornered, so they can kill him and bring back the magic he used to make the tower, so that they can rise to the top of the royal court. She's worried that everyone will find out she lied in her report, but Mikhail tells her they don't need to tell anyone about Light, since they can just report that they dealt with a human kid. She decides to go with his plan, and tells Light he's going to hell, but he tells Yuki and Ellie not to get involved, and prepares to take her on. He tells her it's time to get his revenge, but she thinks he'll never defeat her, since he's just a human, and she reveals that she's already over level 500. She uses the special item she brought, and it summons 3 Angel Knights, as she notes that it's a Phantasma-class weapon called the Angel Ocarina. The fighter angel charges in, so Light dodges its attack and prepares to strike back, but the tank angel stops him with its holy shield. He manages to destroy it, and the tank loses its arms, but the support angel heals it, so Light realizes that they work together as a party. Sasha can't believe how much stronger he has become, since she thought he was still at level 15, but he reveals that he's been training hard. She realizes he's level 9,999, but Mikhail believes that he's just using an illusion to intimidate her, since he thinks it's impossible to reach that level. She orders the angels to gang up on Light, but he uses his shadow spell to restrain them, and takes out the healer with a single shot. He prepares to destroy the tank and fighter, but Sasha summons the healer again, and it protects them with its barrier. She thinks Light doesn't stand a chance, since she can summon them as many times as she needs to, so he decides to attack her directly, but Mikhail protects her with his shield. Light tries to break through it, but he suddenly gets pushed back, so he wonders what happened. Mikhail reveals that his shield is a treasure of the elven nobility, and it has the power to reflect attacks, but he notes that it also has another ability. He uses it to buff the angels, allowing them to break free, and Sasha thinks Light is no match for them, since their teamwork is perfect. She starts mocking him, but he suddenly laughs, and they think that he's lost it since he knows he can't win. But he notes that he's about to give them a taste of what true despair feels like, and he exudes a dark aura as he uses a code to remove the first limiter of his weapon. It transforms into the God Spear Gungnir, and he starts walking towards them, so Sasha orders the angels to attack. But the fighter's weapon shatters as it touches his spear, and the tank tries to stop him, but he obliterates both of them with a single blow. Mikhail notes that they need to end the fight quickly, since the spear is too strong, but Light realizes that it's starting to burn his hand. Yuki and Ellie are worried about him, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to destroy Sasha, and she uses her ocarina to summon the Archangel. She orders it to use its ultimate move, so it summons its holy javelin, and she thinks it's over for Light, but he easily shatters it with his spear. He tells her it isn't strong enough to kill him, and she can't believe what's happening, but she orders the Archangel to attack him with its full power. So it summons 3 holy javelins, but he easily destroys all of them, and the Archangel keeps attacking him, but its spells have no effect. He continues to walk forward, so Sasha starts to lose it, and she screams at him to go away, but he tells her she better stop him before he rips her apart. Mikhail combines his power with the Archangel, but Light still cuts it down with one strike, so Sasha tries to resummon it, but it doesn't work, and her ocarina suddenly crumbles. Light explains that his spear wiped it from existence, and Mikhail can't believe he was able to destroy a Phantasma-class weapon. Light notes that his spear is a Genesis-class weapon, so a Phantasma-class doesn't even compare, but Mikhail laughs, because he believes that Light's claims about his level and his weapon are too ridiculous. He remains confident in his shield, telling Light he can't win, so Light charges at him head-on, and he ends up smashing it to pieces. Mikhail can't believe a human could be so strong, asking Light if he really isn't a master. He thinks Light is too dangerous to be left unchecked, so he decides to retreat so he can warn the Queen. He takes out a feather, and prepares to use it to escape, but it doesn't activate, and Light tells him that it's impossible to teleport out of the tower, since they're jamming it with magic. Mikhail thinks it's ridiculous, since such a thing doesn't even exist, so Ellie explains that it's an original spell of her own, which she developed after reverse engineering the core of the Abyss. Light wonders what they will do next, but Mikhail holds onto the hope that their commander will come to save them, since he's over level 3000, so he will easily be able to wipe them all out. But Light tells his companions to come in, and as the doors open, Mikhail can't believe that their whole squad has already been defeated. Light wonders if they still have hope, and Mikhail starts trying to convince him to work together to take over the Elven Queendom, but Light tells him that all he wants is revenge, and to learn the truth. Mikhail notes that he wasn't involved with trying to kill him, so they should have no beef, and Sasha can't believe that he's abandoning her, but he tells her she's a disgrace, and notes that he never even wanted to be engaged to her. She starts to lose it hearing this, but he offers to execute her to please Light. Light notes that he doesn't care for killing him, so he calls Ellie to do it instead, and she promises to give him a painful death. Mikhail begs for mercy, mentioning how he sees the greatness of Light, but Ellie tells him it's too late. He tries to make a run for it, but she instantly catches him with her vines, telling him to repent for his rudeness towards Light, and she starts digging into his mind. Light tells Sasha she's next, so she tries to remind him of when she comforted him when he used to cry, but all he can remember is how her face changed when she dropped her act and tried to kill him. She offers him her body, since he used to like her, asking him to just spare her, but Yuki gets angry that she's trying to tempt him, and she threatens to repeatedly heal and feed her to her beasts. Light tells her to calm down, and he mentions that he won't kill Sasha until he's found out the truth, but she will be tortured endlessly. She begs him for mercy as he walks away, but he returns the arrow that she once shot him with, and he tells Mara to take her away. Light ends up collapsing because of his spear, but he manages to seal it before passing out. Back in the Abyss, Mizuna wonders if Light will be okay, but Ellie isn't sure. She notes that after 3 years of using his gacha skill, the spear was the only EX-ranked card he was able to pull. All they could tell was that it was extremely powerful, and it was so dangerous that it took 4 of them to seal its power, so she isn't sure how much damage Light would have taken by using it, and all they can do now is wait. When Light wakes up, Mei is happy that he's okay, and he apologizes for making them all worry. She tells him to continue resting, and she notes how when they first met, she could tell how much he wanted revenge, but she tells him not to be so rash, because he isn't alone anymore. Meanwhile, the elves learn that they have lost contact with the White Knights, and the Queen refuses to believe that Hardy could lose, but a soldier suddenly reports that they're being attacked by an army of dragons, and we see Ellie leading the attack. As the dragons surround the castle, Ellie announces herself as the Witch of the Tower and demands to meet the person in charge of the White Knights that invaded her tower. She shows off her power, completely destroying a nearby area, and she gives them 3 minutes to meet her demand. The Queen reveals herself, calling Ellie's act of intimidation insolent, but Ellie notes that her knights were the ones who attacked first. She decides to read her mind to find out what she was after, and as the guards try to stop her, they're impaled by a giant tree, which Ellie explains feeds off the blood and flesh of her enemies. The Queen tries to run, but Ellie restrains her and brings her back. She reads her mind and finds out that they were just investigating the tower, but she also sees how prejudiced they are against humans, so she orders the Queen to free all the human slaves in the kingdom and grant humans their autonomy, threatening to destroy anyone who opposes the rule, and the Queen has no choice but to accept. May notes that the humans from all nations have started gathering around the tower, so Light thinks it's time for him to get back. May tells him to keep resting, but he doesn't want the others to keep worrying about him, and they're happy when they see him appear. A village has formed near the tower, where everyone works together, and the kids even play with the monsters. Light is happy to see it growing, and he remembers how he thought about destroying the world if he deemed it to be evil, but he's now changed his mind, wanting to protect it instead, and he hopes that after his revenge, there can be a world that lives happily. He wonders what the others think about his plan, and they all promise to make his dream